Don't give your power to be happy to anyone else. It's up to you.
This is one of the most common questions I get asked when I'm doing interviews and podcasts and such.
When there is a battle between logic and emotion, emotion always wins.
Rise and shine, it's espresso time. Hey, Believe Nation, I am not a morning person, but when you start your day with a powerful routine that inspires you, like watching one of these videos, it will change your life. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee, know that I believe in you, and get ready for a shot of espresso from Marisa Peer.
I wake up every morning. Espresso keep me going. I wake up every morning.
Everybody wants to be happy, and we're all looking to be happy. And we seem to have this weird belief that there's some destination we're going to get to one day called happiness, but there's no destination called happiness. There's no terminal you're ever going to arrive at in your life called this is the happy place. If you want to be happy, and why wouldn't you want to be happy? Here's the way to be happy. You got to be happy right now. I see so many people who go, I'll be happy when my kid can walk, when my kid can feed themselves. I'll be happy when my kid's gone to school. I'll be happy when. And if you buy into that, I'll be happy when, you're never happy, because when never comes. I'll be happy when I'm married, I'm single, and if I could find a great person, I'll be happy. And then you know what you do? You just swap all the problems of being single to having to compromise with somebody else, because you have this belief, I'll be happy when. So if you want to be happy, here's how to be happy. Decide to be happy right now. Don't do that. I'll be happy when I get to my holiday. I'm super stressed at the airport. I'm having a manic moment. But when I get there, I'll be happy. Because now you've told your mind that happiness is somewhere you're going to. Tell your mind the truth. I am happy right now. I've decided to be happy in the moment. I'm choosing to be happy. You see, your mind is set up to do what you tell it. And every time you say to your mind, I'll be happy when, it believes that happiness is out there and you're going there, but you might never get there. When you go, I'm happy right now. I'm happy packing. I'm happy at the stress of the airport. I'm happy this minute. I am choosing to be happy. Then your mind understands the truth. Happiness is now. You're not going to happiness. You're not looking for happiness. And by the way, nobody else can make you happy, while an amazing partner, a great career, a wonderful kid will enhance your happiness. If you give that to someone else, my partner's going to make me happy. Having a baby is going to make me happy. Having a great job where I get recognized is going to make me happy. Getting praise is going to make me happy. Do you know what you're doing? You're giving someone else the responsibility to make you happy. And if you say to them, here you go, you make me happy, that will work for a while, but then, you know what you're giving them? You're giving them power to make you unhappy. I want a little baby to be happy, and I got it, but now that baby is a 14-year-old teenager that doesn't want to speak to me. People say, oh, you know, you make me feel amazing, and then the other side of that is you make me feel so angry and so lonely and so unimportant. Don't give your power to be happy to anyone else. It's up to you. And don't wait to be happy. Choose to be happy right now, in the moment. I mean, look at little children. The rain makes them happy. A puddle makes them happy. Everything makes them happy because they live in the moment. Happiness is an inside job. Go inside you, live in the moment. I promise you, if you make a decision, I'm going to be happy right now, no matter what, and everything I do, you'll train your mind to be happy.
Happiness comes down to fulfillment versus excitement. When people ask me, hey, Evan, how do you define happiness? This is one of the most common questions I get asked when I'm doing interviews and podcasts and such. What does happiness look like to you? Well, happiness is fulfillment and excitement. Because it's a very interesting word. So let's break it down. Fulfillment is feeling like what you do matters. You're happy when you feel like what you do matters. You're happy when you feel like you wake up today and today is going to matter. This is what we all want. We all want to feel like what we're going to do today is going to have an impact on somebody else's life. We are all built to serve. You want to feel important to somebody else, not just from a ego perspective that, oh, I matter and I'm important, but in a way that you contributed to somebody else's life. We're all connected. We want to feel connected. We want to feel like this is gonna matter today, that this video that I make for you, even though I'm here just in the car by myself. Well, Nina's back there. Hello, Nina. Even though I'm just here filming by myself in the car, I want to feel like this video is touching somebody. It's touching you, that you guys are watching it, and hopefully the message here is going to be inspiring and helpful to you in some way. We all want that. That's fulfillment, right? If you wake up too many days in a row and you feel like today doesn't matter, nobody cares if I show up, nobody cares if I do a good job or not, nobody cares. That's a fast path to depression and worst case suicide, right? That's where a lot of people, unfortunately, are living right now, is they don't feel like they matter. They're not happy because there's no fulfillment. They're not happy because they feel like they don't matter to anybody. So that's fulfillment. The other side of happiness is excitement. You're happy when you feel like you're doing something new. You're happy when you get to try something new. You get to have fun. You get to do something that hasn't been done before. You're going out of your comfort zone, or you're having this quick hit, right? I mean, it could be anything from I'm excited to have my coffee. I'm excited to have my Starbucks. When we go once a week to film, we get a Starbucks, put some cream in, and I'm excited for the taste, right? You could be excited for that donut or that meal. It may not even be good for you. The donut's not good for you, but you're still excited to have it because it tastes so good. You're chasing this little momentary high. Or you could be excited to go on that vacation. You're excited, just something new. It's a moment in time. It's the candy, it's the sweets, right? And it's the sweets of life. It's not sustainable, but it's not designed to be sustainable. It's these little moments in time that make us happy. And that's true too, but that's why it's excitement. Jumping from an airplane, it's exciting. It's not sustainable. You're not gonna show up every day and fall from the airplane all day long, right? And so I think where a lot of people struggle, a lot of entrepreneurs especially, is we're chasing the excitement only. You're chasing what it's going to feel like when you hit your goal, when you have 1 million subscribers or 1 million in revenue, or whatever success looks like to you. Where what we're missing is the fulfillment part of it. So there's nothing wrong with chasing those goals. There's nothing wrong with having that caffeine high, that sugar rush, that, hey, I hit my goal, amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. But if that's all there is, you need the meal, right? If that's all there is, you're never actually going to be happy, because those are just moments in time. That you get excited today if that something happened, and then you might wait another month before the next exciting thing happens. We're just adrenaline junkies. This is what entrepreneurs are. A lot of entrepreneurs just become adrenaline junkies, chasing the next high. That's not sustainable, that's not healthy, and that's not ultimate happiness. You have to pair it with the fulfillment. When you can do both, that I'm chasing these big goals, these big dreams, or even something small I can do right now to get excited, and pairing it with what I do matters. This is fulfilling to me. This is going to make a difference in somebody's life. That's where I think you have long-term, sustainable, healthy forms of happiness. The good news is both of them you can accomplish right now. At any point in time, you could choose to help somebody. You could choose to go serve somebody, right? At any point in time. It could be, helping those people put the groceries in their car, right? It could go help them, or take the shopping cart and put it away for them. Random act of kindness. It could be going to somebody's YouTube comments and leaving a nice message. Think about a creator that you like to follow, somebody else that you subscribe to, who maybe doesn't have as big a following. Go leave a nice message. How long does it take you to do, right? 18 seconds? You just made a difference in somebody's life, right? Responding to somebody who follows you on Instagram and saying, hey, thank you for following me on Instagram. I really appreciate you. That's how I built my Instagram following. I'd be sitting here at a Costco, individually messaging people who followed me to say, hey, Rick, hey, Susan, hey, Jennifer, thank you so much for following me. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Send. Next, right? 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 15 seconds at a time. You can choose at any point to be happy, especially when you can connect it to somebody else. The fulfillment side is a lot easier to connect to than the excitement side. And we're too locked typically in the excitement side. So choose today. What does your version of happiness look like? What does excitement look like for you? What are some of the exciting things that are in your calendar for the next week that can get you, motivated? But more importantly, connect back to service, connect back to purpose, connect back to what you're trying to do every day. Meaning, what can you do today to have a little bit more meaning? Even though you haven't hit your 1 million subscribers yet, what can you do today to have a little bit more meaning? And I've always said, for people who are trying to grow their following, people who are trying to grow their impact, we get upset about how we don't have enough followers, or not enough people watched our video, or not enough people commented. Always focus on who you do have. Focus on who you do have. Focus on who is watching. Focus on who is in your audience. Focus on them. Because when you focus on what you don't have, you're not happy. When you focus on what you do have and how you are serving the people who are in your community, that makes you happy. So it's a challenge for your schedule, for your ongoing, for the next day, week, month, year, lifetime. How can you build in that sustainable service, the connection to what you're doing every day? But also micro challenges for right now, for today. What can you do right now that can make an impact, that can touch somebody's life because you showed up, because you chose to say thank you, because you chose to drop some love on somebody? You can do that at any moment. That'll make you feel happier. And when you're happier, better things happen. People ask me about strategies for entrepreneurial success. And there's lots of strategies, lots of tactics. There's lots of things that you can do. But one of the things that I think gets overlooked the most is just happiness. When you are happy with what you're doing, you show up with way more energy. You show up with way more conviction. You show up with way more motivation versus forcing yourself to do something that you hate. People ask me about health secrets, and it's easy to default to sleeping and eating healthy and all that. And yes, those are true. And I think one of the most overlooked things inside of health is happiness. If you are happy every day, you're going to be a lot healthier. You're not only going to make healthier choices, but you will be healthier. Where if you've got negativity and poison inside you all day because you hate the people you're working with, or you hate the work that you're doing, you're not going to be healthy either. So at the core of your great life is happiness. And how do you get it? Fulfillment and excitement. Make it happen. Make it count. Make your happy life come to fruition. Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and what is your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of actually doing something and following through. That, Believe Nation, is not enough. 35% is not enough. We gotta do something. But when you get inspired by watching a video like this, and then you create a plan of action, your chances of following through jump to 91%. And when you commit publicly, like putting your comment down below with your plan, it jumps to 95%. That's what I want for you. I want you to take action. Your dreams are too important. Your life matters. Your mission has to happen. So, question of the day, your biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week, put it down in the comments below, and I'm gonna celebrate alongside with you. Also, if you want to have more confidence, self-love, self-belief, check out my 254 series. The science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So I've designed a special free program to help you get it, where I will send you an unlisted video to your email for the next 254 days to shift your self-belief forward. The link to sign up for free is in the description below.
Successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be. Doesn't matter how talented you are, if you don't have self-belief, you're not going to get anywhere. So the first thing that people who are incredibly successful do is they do what they hate. They are fully prepared to do what they hate to get to where they want to be. And people who fail, they will give up their dream before they do what they hate to do. And people who are very successful, they never, ever wait for motivation. They do it because when you do it, you become motivated. A great writer won't go, well, I'll just wait till I'm really motivated to start writing this book. No, they get up at 4 a.m, they don't want to, and they start to write, and then of course they become motivated. So you wake up in the morning and you go, you're not going to go, yay, it's 5 a.m, I'm putting on my running shoes and going for a walk up Laurel Canyon. Of course you're not going to do that. You're going to wake up and go, God, I really hate working out, but
Marisa said, successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be. Because of course, the wonderful thing is that when you do what you hate first enough times, it starts to become natural. Like, I've got to do my taxes, I'll do that first thing. I've got to confront someone, I'll do it first. And so I still, to this day, wake up and think, oh, I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to do it first, because what I do want is to belong to that group of very, very successful people. So I know what the membership is. And every time I don't want to do something, I think, I don't want to do it, but what I do want is to belong to that group, so I'm doing it first. And it's a great way of thinking, because it starts to move you around wanting to do it for all the right reasons. Many, many years ago, I met someone who wanted to be a rock star. That was his ambition. He actually particularly wanted to be a drummer. And he was a very young married man with 2 children to support. And he was going for a lot of auditions. And of course, all the auditions take place during the day. And every time he had a job, they wouldn't let him take time off. So he decided he would have to work nights in order to audition during the day. And the only job he could get was a job he hated. He was a taxi driver and he hated it, but he did it. But he just wasn't making enough money. So he thought, okay, I'll have to work in McDonald's. I get more money, I can work nights, I'm free to audition. And about a month before he'd applied to work in McDonald's, he'd been for an audition to be a drummer in a band. He didn't even know who the band was. And the day he was due to start working at McDonald's, which he absolutely hated even the thought of, he got a call to go, you know, that band you auditioned for is actually Simple Minds, and now you're the drummer in Simple Minds. So he never worked in McDonald's or drove a cab again for the rest of his life. But when he told people that story, they'd all go, oh, I would never work in McDonald's. Oh my God, I'd never degrade myself by driving a cab around London. And I'm like, don't you think you're missing the point? His ability to do what he hated is what made him a rock star, because he had to have his days free to rehearse and audition. But if he had your mindset, I'd never do that, he would never be a multi-millionaire rock star. It was because he was fully prepared to do what he hated, to swallow his pride, to keep his vision in mind. I want to be a rock star. I must be free for auditions. How can I do that? Well, I have to work as a cab driver and in a fast food restaurant, which I hate, but I'm going to do it because it's going to take me to my goal. And it did. But the people who laughed at him and said, I wouldn't do that, none of them are rock star.
You mentioned something about leaning into the feelings until you no longer need to feel them, or until they go away.
Feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
Why should we do that? So give me an example of a feeling.
So let's imagine you and your ex-wife are not getting on, and you have a feeling of rage about the fact that she's trying to get your kid to call the new guy daddy, and she's blocking you out, and you feel so angry. You think, well, I mustn't feel angry, you know, she's doing it for the interest of my kid, and so I just drink the anger, and I drink the anger. And you see, with a feeling, it's the most real thing you have. A feeling is like a little kid in a class going, notice me, I'm over here. And if you don't, they get more and more out of control. And so when you don't acknowledge your feelings, they regroup, and they regroup until they become outrage, rage coming out. And then suddenly they go a bit crazy in the car park of a store or the line of a store, because the mind says, I've got all this rage, wants to come out. Someone just cut into the line, take it out on them. And it's so ineffective, because I have something I call AAA, which is be aware of your feeling. Most people have no idea what they feel. They go, I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't feel envious. I shouldn't be furious with this kid who's keeping me up all night. So they're not aware of it. They certainly can't accept it, and they never get to articulate it. But if you can say, you know, my wife's a good person, but actually I'm furious with what she's doing. It really hurts my feelings. That's why group therapy in places like AA, the good thing is you get to say, sometimes I could quite cheerfully hurt my wife. I'm not going to, but I feel like it. Oh yeah, I feel like that too. Because when you can express your feeling, it goes away. It goes away immediately.
When
but
you
when
communicate it,
even to yourself. So if your mother-in-law is the absolute from hell, and you can't say, by the way, Dorothy, you are the most horrible mother-in-law in the world, but you just go and shut yourself in the bathroom, turn on the taps, flush the toilet, and say, Dorothy is a really unpleasant mother-in-law. And one of my
feel better.
you feel so much better because you're not saying it to them. It's like feelings are like gas. They're in or they're out, and they hurt much more when you keep them in. And you want to let them out. Maybe gas, obviously right in the middle of a meeting, but when you keep stuff in, it causes you pain. When you focus on the worst possible outcome, you actually feel as if you are in that worst possible outcome. The only way to overcome a fear is, instead of focusing on the worst possible outcome, to focus on the best possible outcome. I'm driving, it's foggy, it's dark, it's icy, I might skid off the road and kill myself. Or I'm driving very carefully, I'm driving very slowly, I'm driving very cautiously because I'm going to be safe and I'm going to get home. See, that's the difference. You just have to give yourself different beliefs. The thing with fear always is you have two choices. Rationalize why you feel so terrible, or talk yourself out of it. I was on the beach with my daughter and there was a big dog, and it was quite a scary dog, and she didn't like this dog. And I said to her, darling, when you don't like a dog, you get very scared, and the dog doesn't like it either, and he gets scared. So when you see a scary dog, turn your back to it. Don't look at it, because when you look at it, you're challenging it. And that's hard to do, to turn your back on a dog. But if you turn your back, it's not a challenge. And she understood that, and I was always teaching her, when you have a fear, you have a choice. Oh my God, that dog's going to bite me, attack me, hurt me. Or I'm going to talk myself, I'm going to turn away, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to be really calm, and that dog's just going to go on its way. And it's the same with everything in life to do with fear. Rationalize why you feel so fearful, or talk yourself out of it. I'll be fine, this is okay, everything's going to work out perfectly, I'm okay. All of these fears hold you back, and they don't have to, because every fear you go through teaches you something. You see, if you go to a fun fair and go to those loop-the-loop rides, you can scream in terror or you can scream in excitement. And the fact that people put themselves through those rides means that at some level we quite like fear. It challenges us to do more. It challenges us to grow more. So don't fear fear. Remember, the only fear to fear is fear itself. Here's some things I want you to start doing today, right now, that will build your self-esteem super fast. The number one thing is to praise yourself. There is nothing that will build your self-esteem like praise, but your praise. If you have a shopper who says, oh, you look really great in the outfit, yeah, it suits you, you must buy it, they have an agenda. If your boss says you're amazing at your job, but I need to give you work to do over the weekend, they have an agenda. Someone dating you might have an agenda, and your mind knows it, but when you say, I'm great at my job, I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm nice, people like me, there is no agenda. Unfortunately, when you go, I'm rubbish at my job, I'm boring, I always mess up and I have no friends, your mind lets that into, because your mind doesn't really care if what you say is right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. And let me prove that to you. I want you to put your hand in front of your face like that. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine you have a big, fat, juicy lemon. And I want you to breathe in that wonderful lemon smell and just squeeze it a bit and feel that wonderful lemon texture, because nothing quite smells like a lemon. So still really believing you have half a lemon in your hand, open your mouth, shove that lemon in there, cram that half a lemon into your mouth and start chewing and sucking and biting and swallowing the flesh. Keep sucking all that lemon flesh into your mouth. Bite it, chew it, suck out the juice. And you will notice that what is happening is your body is responding to a thought as if it's a fact. Your body is responding to the image and thought of eating a lemon as if you are actually eating a lemon, and it's making a saliva, because thoughts are things. And every thought you have has a physical reaction in your body and an emotional response to. When you think, I don't have friends, I can't talk to people, I can't take things back to a store, I can't ask for special treatment, I don't know how to talk to people, then your mind accepts that as a fact, just like the lemon. But when you say, oh, I can talk to anyone. I'm an interesting person. I'm warm and friendly. People like me, and I can make eye contact. I'm good at my job. I can ask someone out on a date. I can tell the person I'm involved with what I need. Your mind accepts that too. And someone recently said they keep a lemon on their desk now and look at it every day. I'm sure they change it every month, because that lemon reminds them every day that they are responsible for what they think and feel. And you know, responsibility, that word means an ability to respond. So I want you to start to praise yourself. I want you to wake up in the morning, the first thing you go is, I like myself.
And people think the brain's really complicated. It's not. It's actually quite simple. You only need to know 3 things about your brain to always get what you want. And the first thing is, your brain does exactly what it thinks you want it to do, because it listens to everything you say. So when you say things like, oh God, you know, I got dumped, it was so painful, I never want to go through that again, all your mind can pick up is you don't want to be in a relationship again. When people have a miscarriage and go, I could never go through that again, I'd rather die than go through that again, your mind is picking up, oh right, well that's a statement, that's actually a command to me to make sure you never go through a miscarriage again. And that's how you get unexplained infertility, which is something else I've been working on a lot recently. Because the mind listens to what you say. So people go, oh, I went on this flight, I thought I was going to die. And do it, they'll go, I'm never getting on a plane. If this plane lands, I will never, ever get on a plane again. And of course it lands, they go, oh, it was just turbulence. But next time they go to the airport, they have a massive panic attack, because your mind's like, hang on a minute, you said I never want to fly again. And so if you haven't got what you want, it's because you're giving your mind very confusing messages. Your mind's number 1 job is to listen to what you say and to act on it. Its second job is to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. And it will always, always, always do more to avoid pain. So let's imagine you've gone for an interview, you've done a public speech thing like me, and you've stood up and you've gone, and you think, oh my God, I'm never doing this again. And you'd have a terrible presentation. And one of my clients who worked for Sony was saying that she had to stand up and just say to Sony, this is a new band from Camden. And she stood up and went, this is a new band from, and they're called, she said, I couldn't do it. It's the simplest thing. And my boss had to take over. And I was explaining to her that when you do that and go, oh my God, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do this again, your mind is now going to make sure you don't do it again. So the next time you go to speak, it will give you a panic attack, it will make you ill. And if you say to yourself, oh my God, I'd love a week off in bed, or I'm dreading next Wednesday, your mind is so in tune with you, your week off in bed, you wake up with the flu and your mind's like, there you go, how cool am I? There's your week in bed. You don't want to go to that speech? I've woken you up with diarrhea, so now you can't go. That's what the mind does. When I was giving my first ever presentation about my first ever book, I woke up with the most excruciating migraine. I've never had one before. I thought, wow, I must have been saying to myself somewhere, I don't want to do this because I've got this migraine. And I actually went and did it, and I didn't have the migraine until I stepped back off the stage again. And I realized that I was communicating very badly with myself. So you must never say nervous, say excited, because your mind listens. So those 3 things are, your mind does what it really thinks you want to do. If you're very, very specific and say, I want this and this, I want to be a great speaker, I want to deliver things, I want to be fantastic at sales, I want to be able to look people in the eye and sell them things and come across as really authentic, your mind will understand. And if you make those pictures really good and pleasant, you'll move towards them. When there is a battle between logic and emotion, emotion always wins. How many of you have gone to a really high building, an enclosed building like the top story of a hotel or the CN Tower in Toronto, and looked down and thought, oh, wow, I feel really scared. My logic mind knows that I'm safe, that the glass is that thick, that I can't fall, but the emotion that's making my stomach lurch is winning. So when you have a battle between emotion and logic, emotion always wins. Here's something you all know. We can all ring our friend up and go, I'm a bit bored, a bit lonely. Can I hang out? Or I'm a bit bored, let's go to the movie. You would never ring someone you've just met and go, I'm bored and lonely. Will you come and hang out with me? Let's go to the movie. Because the emotion that you might be rejected will overrule the logic that says this person
maybe the person for me. So if you're having a battle between yourself, here's a great one. I know I shouldn't eat cake. That's the logic, but the emotion is, oh, the cake feels so good, and this creamy, sugary stuff reminds me of being a baby when all my needs were met by having creamy, sugary stuff. So in a battle between emotion and logic, logic will never win, emotion will always win. And you can make that win for you by making it a better emotion. So here's how to do it. Here's an emotion. I'm scared to ask for a pay rise in case my boss laughs me out of the office. Make it a stronger emotion. If I go to my boss and show them what I've done, how valuable I am, that won't happen. Here's an emotion. I really want to ask that person on a date. I'm not good enough. Change the emotion. I'm wonderful. I'm amazing. What could I get from asking someone on a date that says yes? So much. And if they say no, I'm only exactly where I was before, except I've been brave. I've done something courageous. I've taken action. Even if it doesn't work out, I've lost nothing, but I've gained courage. So when you're having a battle between logic and emotion always wins. Logic never wins. That's why you could stand on the windowsill of your apartment if it was on the ground floor, but you would never stand on the windowsill same size if it was 100 stories up, because the emotion that you may fall will defeat the logic that says, I can do this when it's a few feet off the ground. Why can't I do it up here? Because emotion overrules logic. You can make your life phenomenal, extraordinary, and wonderful by always using emotion to defeat emotion. Every baby on the world is born loaded with self-esteem. No baby, when they're being pushed down the street in their stroller, goes, oh, don't look at me, I'm having a bad hair day, or I've just been sick on my little romper suit, or I've got really fat legs. Babies' first experience on the planet is being looked at. When you're born, the doctor, the nurse, the midwife look at you. Family come to visit you. You get your picture taken. People show you off. And babies don't avert their eyes when you take their picture. When I used to push my little girl down the street, people would look in her pram and go, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. She never looked away. She kicked her little legs. She gave a big gummy smile because she knew that she was gorgeous too. And if you ever doubt that children like attention, go to a park, go to a swimming pool, and you hear every child going, Mummy, Mummy, look at me on the swing. Daddy, watch me on the slide. Mummy, Mummy, watch me jump in the water, watch me swim, watch me jump. Because children have this belief that I'm worthy of attention, and I like it, and I can ask for it, and I'll get it. And then you have to ask, well, where does that go? Well, it goes very fast. You know, if I said to my little girl at 2, sing me, Mummy, a song, she would sing. If I said to her at 14, sing me a song, she'd roll her eyes and go, oh my God, you're so embarrassing, and walk out of the room. Because at a very early age, we acquire a fear of being judged. It's what is called performance anxiety. What if I sing and someone laughs at me? What if I read in class and I get it wrong? What if I stand up to speak and I don't know what to say? And performance anxiety can be so intense that it makes us stop performing. But people who perform really well like themselves. They go, well, I'll see what happens, and I'll sing, I'll dance, I'll act. I mean, some people can't even dance at a party in case everyone's looking at them and judging them badly. Some of my clients won't even go to yoga in case they can't hold the poses like everyone else. And believe me, we're all so busy worrying about ourselves. We don't have time to look at you and comment on your yoga position or how you're dancing at a party. And we kind of like people who don't care, who just let go and have a good time. So the thing you need to have phenomenal confidence really are 2 things. Stop judging yourself and be nice to yourself. But then you have to understand a bit more of psychology, because humans are hardwired to recreate what they know. We like what's familiar, even if it's very bad. If I've never had money and I win the lottery, I'm going to get rid of it. Or if I've never had love and you love me, I'm going to reject you because it's so unfamiliar. If I've had a dad who calls me an idiot and worthless, guess what kind of guy I like? That's it. Because when I meet them, I go, oh, feel like I've known this guy my whole life. We just clicked. And then you think, oh my God, it's because he's my dad. But now I've been sleeping with him for 6 months. I don't know what to do with that now. Because we are wired to like what is familiar and to resist what's unfamiliar. And that's what kept us alive. When we lived in walled cities, we didn't go, I'm a bit bored with this group. I think I'll go outside the walled city and find another tribe, because they might have killed you. Mm-hmm. So we have this wiring that says, run towards what's familiar and run away from what's unfamiliar. But the very good news is you can make anything familiar. And the most important thing to make familiar is praising yourself. If you could just do that, that in itself would change your entire life.
How do you praise yourself?
Well, you get up in the morning and go, I'm a good person. I have a skill. I have a talent. I have something to offer the world. I'm here for a reason. You look in the mirror and go, oh, there you are. You're a good person. You've got a good heart. You know, the most important way to answer that question is this. What did you always want your dad to tell you, even if you never had a dad? Mm. If you had a dad, a good dad, what would he have said? Mm. What would your mum have said? What would a nice teacher have said to you? And it would be something like this. I'm proud of you. You're a good son. I'm so glad I'm your dad. How lucky I got to have you. And a teacher would say, you're such a smart kid. What a joy it is to teach you because you're smart. And we all want to hear the same stuff. I love you, I'm proud of you, you're interesting, you're a great company. Nobody needs to hear I'm the best dentist in Beverly Hills, because that doesn't work. It's emotions, and many of my clients, their mother might be dead, but they're still trying to get her to approve of them. Wow. Dad's living in another country, but they're still working to make him like them. And you know, the most important thing is you like you. So whatever you wanted to hear, say it to yourself, because your mind doesn't even know that it's coming. And also it doesn't care. Your mind doesn't care if what you tell it is right or wrong, or true or false, or even if it's good or bad, it lets it in like chapstick on your lips. Your lips don't go, is this organic, fair trade? Just lets it in. It needs a bit of nourishment. And we need some nourishment, and words are very nourishing. And there is actually nothing on the planet that will raise your self-esteem like praise. But self-praise is better, because if I said to you, I just adore you, you're amazing. By the way, you know, can you do this and this and this? I've manipulated you. But if I say it to myself, my mind knows there's no manipulation, and the mind likes repetition. And when you say it every day, your mind kind of goes, oh yeah, here you go again with that praise. You say it every day, must be true, and now it sinks in. The problem is if you criticize yourself every day, it says the same thing. In my experience, people who try to be perfect are the unhappiest people in the world, and they're almost always the loneliest too. When you try to be perfect, you have entered a race that you can't win. You can't even complete it. There is no finishing line. The finishing line keeps moving. So when you're in a race to be thinner, happier, richer, more successful, you can't complete that race. You can't win it. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm reaching my goals, you feel intense dissatisfaction. Here's the truth. The way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. And guess what is so great? You can change those pictures anytime. You can change those words. Every thought you think, every word you say becomes a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche use everything at their disposal to make real. Thoughts are things. What you speak and think and say without realizing your mind is working so hard to make that your reality, even if it's super negative. You know, I see parents all the time who say things like, I'll be happy when my kid sleeps through the night. I'll be happy when my kid's out of diapers. I'll be happy when my kid is walking, feeding themselves, going to school. And they spend their whole child's life looking at the next bit to be happy, when you should be thinking, wow, I wish every stage took 3 times as long. You waste your amazing life wishing it away for the next bit. Because happiness is not a destination you arrive at, it's the journey you're on, it's an inside job. Do not farm out, I'll be happy when, because there is no terminal to get to called happiness. Happiness is the journey you're on now. Perfectionists come in all shapes and sizes, and they're often very good at hiding their inner drive to be perfect. There's one thing that drives them all, an inner belief that says, I'm not enough, I'm less than. If I'm less than, and I can come across as perfect, I'll be more than. You know, my neighbors always say to me, wow, you have so many famous clients. Are they damaged by fame? I'm like, no, actually no. Damaged people are attracted to fame. They have a belief I'm so damaged, but if I'm famous, rich, gorgeous, amazing, I'll be perfect. But you see what happens when damaged people try to be perfect. It actually damages them more. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to be infallible. You just need to be enough. And when you let the fact in that you are enough, instead of trying so hard to be perfect, which you can never achieve, when you let in being enough, changes your life. So let it in that you're enough right now, because that's the truth about you.
So you always have a choice. Your mind talks to your body all the time. That's its job. And your job is to tell your mind what you want. I want perfect health. I don't do illness. I do wellness. Everything I do is perfect. You know, I was at a conference recently. Someone went, oh my God, I'm so glad I listened to your audio, because you know I have 4 hours of sleep. And I tell my mind I'm having 8. And I thought, God, I should do that. I'm teaching people this. I forgot I can do that too. Tell my mind I've had 8 hours sleep. Tell my mind I feel amazing. Tell my mind when I'm working out, my body loves this. My muscles love this. I can do a bit more. Rather than go, oh, it all aches and I hate doing this, and I could be at home watching TV. So just to be very clear, your mind's job is to do what you tell it, and your job, should you choose to accept, is to tell it great things, amazing things. I'm not aging, I'm saging. I'm embodying wellness. I have perfect balance. You can choose. Not only does the mind tell the body what to do, it also interrupts the signals coming back from the body. I've got this crippling, thumping headache, can become, well, I've got a little niggle in my head, but I'm really too busy to notice it. I'm in agony. No, you've just had a little shot. That's not agony. This commute is hell. No, hell is not having a car or any gas and looking at people or taking 3 buses to do your commute. Being in this store is torture. No. When you go to Africa and you see they don't have any stores, and the ones they do have no food, and you'll never again stand in Ralph's and go, this is a nightmare. It's hell, grocery shopping. If you have money in your wallet to buy food for people that love you, that is so far beyond hell. But people use these words. It's killing me, it's a disaster, it's a nightmare. And also, whenever anyone does anything wrong, we go, what's wrong with you? We should say, what happened to you? What happened to you? And they'll go, well, you know, my mom always said she didn't want a boy, she wanted a girl, and I've been brought up. I'll give you an example. I had a city trader as a client who really had problems trading. And his boss said, you know, he's the best trader, but he's so nervous. And when I worked with him, he was saying that when he was a kid, his parents had 2 girls and then him. And he would smash his Tonka toys and they go, what's wrong with you? Look at your sisters just combing their doll's hair, and they're so good, and why are you so aggressive? And a 4-year-old can't go, well, because I have something called testosterone, right, and they don't. And I'm designed to run and jump and hunt and fish, and I got to learn what to do with aggression. Smashing my cars together is good for me. A 4-year-old doesn't have anything, because they live in the world of, they just live in a world of feeling, not logic. And he said, I never realized, just spent my whole life thinking something's wrong with me, because my parents would say everything conversation, what's wrong with you? Look how neat you says they don't get peas on the floor when they eat. And he said, I heard it every day until I formed a belief something's wrong with me. He didn't date women because he thought, well, I should be like one, but I want to be like a man. And that session totally turned him around. He said it was like someone had sprayed him with pheromones, because he went out that night and women were attaching themselves to him like a magnet. But he just got rid of the feeling of something's wrong with me. Because most people do walk around going, something's wrong with me, I'm just majorly messed up. And you can't heal.
And no one understands me, no one gets me.
And I don't understand me. And if I don't understand me, how can you?
And why should I even be here?
Yeah, because you can't heal what you can't understand.
And so all the treating the symptom is like putting a Band-Aid on an infection. It doesn't, when you understand it, you can totally change your perception of what it is, because events actually don't affect you, but the meaning you attach to them does.
The story we tell ourselves about
the event. We have a great fear of rejection, which is not surprising, because when we're born, we have two drivers: find connection, avoid rejection. After all, if a mother rejects a child, if a lion rejects the cub, it's not going to be adopted, it will die. Yeah, or it just starves to death. And so we know innately that our survival on the planet is linked to not being rejected. And not that long ago, you would have died from rejection. You know, in 1,000 years ago, when they banished you outside the walls of the city, or you marooned a difficult sailor, or you cast someone out of the community, you pretty much died. There was nothing out there but purgatory. So we have a wiring that says rejection will kill me. And that's why you had the fear. But when you can dialogue with the other, go, no, it feels like it will kill me. It can't kill me, because no girl can reject me unless I give her my permission.
Right, give them my power.
You can't reject me unless I agree with everything. I don't like you because you got short hair. I don't like your shirt. I don't like you because you're white, not white, tall, short, glasses, not. But when you say you can't reject me, I can't be rejected, because the only person you can reject me is me. You can talk to girls realizing, even if they say, no, you're not my type, I'm with someone, no thanks, or even, ooh, not no, they can only reject you if you let that in. And we look at someone like James Corden, who's certainly not gorgeous, but women love him because he's funny.
So funny.
So funny.
Love
and,
that guy.
you know, we like warm people. You know, the packaging is all very nice. But lots of people have a great packaging, a great wrapper, and but they're unhappy. And so our greatest fear is to be rejected. But the truth is, in 2018, you could live in this apartment, have Amazon deliver your groceries, never see a soul, and you probably live until you're 106.
Yeah.
Wouldn't advise it, but we don't die of rejection anymore, but we still feel like we will. And all schools should be teaching kids, you cannot be rejected. You can ask for a pay rise, you can ask for crowdfunding, you can go to someone and go, here's my idea, you can write a book, speak in public. Because I work with a lot of actors who say, I'm so scared of rejection. I'm like, well, how are you going to be an actor then?
Because you're supposed to be rejected
so
all the time.
So you and I write books. For everyone who loves it, there's going to be the odd person who goes, I hate this book, and I hate that writer too. But we don't let it in. We have to laugh about it. When you give a YouTube talk, I mean, I've got, one of my talks got like 3 million views, and there's a few in there going, I hate her, stuck-up English snob. But they don't know me, because that's not me at all. But I don't go, oh my God, I can never write another book. I'm okay because I don't let it in, because the only opinion that matters is my opinion. I know I'm not a stuck-up English snob, so that can't hurt me. In powerful language, you can never say, you're going to fall, you're going to mess that up, you're going to ruin everything. That's just not going to work out. You have to say the opposite. Okay, I've only got 10 minutes to prepare my speech. I only need 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes to get there. That's exactly how much time I need. And if I'm late, I wasn't supposed to be there on time. I have a belief now, when I get to a party late, it's because I wasn't meant to get there early. I no longer go, oh my God, I'm so late. This is going to be terrible. In fact, I was recently going in a cab across town to get a train to work with a football team. And we got stuck in traffic. And so I was playing a game. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to miss the train. This is terrible. I'm going to ruin my reputation. The team are going to be so upset. And I felt really sick. And then I started to say, the trains run every 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. What's 20 minutes? My material's so great. They have lots of time. After all, they finished practicing at 3 o'clock. And it was fine. So all the way there, I was playing a game, and I actually got the train on time, but they really wouldn't have minded. But I could have ruined my day, made myself panicky and sweaty by going, oh my God, I haven't got enough time, and now it's all ruined. And it's never ruined. You can come back from anything. And then I worked with a client who had cancer and had to go into this MRI scanner. And every time I saw him, he said, I can't do it. I can't get in that scanner. And he said, well, I feel like I'm in my coffin. I feel like it's a premonition of my death. And I get in the scanner, I think, well, I've got cancer and I'm going to die.
And I said, well, I freak out. I press the button, I have to come out. And they keep saying, look, you've got to, I can't even be in there for 2 seconds, which is not true. When people say, I can't do it for even a second, he probably was in there for a few minutes. I said, look, the words you say to yourself in that scanner, this is a premonition of my death. I feel like I'm in a coffin. I feel like I'm suffocating and I can't do it. That's a blueprint. And your mind doesn't like those words. So how about these words? How about saying, I'm in my bed at home and I'm just so chilled and I could lie here for hours. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, I'm blissed out. You must use words that make a picture. You can't go, oh, I'm okay really. I'm quite good, I'm not bad, this is okay. Because when I say the words okay, not bad, what's the picture? There's no picture. It's what I call fluff. When you say I'm chilled, I'm blissed out, I'm ecstatic, I'm just lying here and I could do this for hours, it's just so cool, the mind goes, you're right. And when you go, I'm in a coffin and I'm suffocating, the mind goes, you're right. See, here's the great thing. You can choose any words you like. You can go, well, we're all going to be negative and this half's going to be positive. That's your choice. You know what you can't choose? What you do to yourself when you say, I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, I'm a retard, I've got rocks for brains, everything goes wrong. Who would ever like me? I've got cellulite, I'm a single parent, I've got no chance, blah, blah, blah. I didn't go to college, so I couldn't possibly do what you do. I got kicked out of college, by the way, so you can definitely do what I do. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I can look at my life and say being fired, being dumped, and being kicked out of college, thank you, God, for putting that up to me because it changed my life. It was the best thing. Rejection has been one of the best things that ever happened to me. Being the least favorite kid, if I could have my life again, I'd go back and be the least favorite kid because I thought I'm going to show my parents that I'm something. And if I was the favorite, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had a totally different life.
Your beliefs affect your biology. Your beliefs certainly affect your biochemistry. I've had women of 58 say, could you make me pregnant? I go, I know. It's too late. Why did you wait 30 years? But the mind will follow your instructions, and it's very important to give yourself the right instructions. Of course, there are limits. You can't tell yourself you're going to be an astronaut. And when people say to me, I want to be a millionaire, I'm like, what are you going to do to be a millionaire? You can't go, I'm going to sit at home, and that's the problem with The Secret. Attract millions to you. What are you going to do for these millions? I want to have a six-pack. You do need to go to the gym. I want to have great health. Well, stop eating pizza and eat better food. But once you get the mind to want it, it's actually easy. But when people say to me, I want to be a millionaire, then we tell them, well, any goal of significance requires you to learn something new. But then they have a fear of learning. And of course, you're right. Then when people come in and go, I want this, you have to look at the blocks. The number one block is the fear of rejection. If I make it, I might get rejected. If I find love, they might leave. If I make all that money, people won't like me anymore. So you've got to smash out of the ballpark the fear of rejection. You've got to smash out the second belief that says it's all easy. I remember Luther Vandross saying, you know, people say I'm an overnight success. I sang jingles for KFC for 12 years. It was a long overnight. So you do have to also have that desire. I mean, for me, you know, I speak in public, I write books, always aware that somebody's going to go, I hate your book, I don't like it. I'm like, oh, that's okay. They can't reject me, they might reject my book. Most people happen to love them, but to get anywhere in life, you have to get over the fear of rejection. Because people think they're going to die from rejection, but they really don't. People come in and they describe, you know, I really want to be successful, but I'd love to be healthier, but I want to find love, but I can't get pregnant because. And the first thing we do is investigate, like a good detective. A detective will lay out pictures and go, what's going on here? And they make sense of it. And very much the same. So when people come to me and go, no, I've got unexplained infertility. What is that? I went, well, there's a clue in the description. It is unexplained. Nobody knows. Your husband's got cracked sperm that swims straight and plenty of it. You've got great eggs, great fallopian tubes, perfect womb.
but you can't get pregnant because the unexplained is here. And many people, when they're younger, will say to themselves, if I got pregnant, my dad would kill me. Oh my God, if I got pregnant, it would be the end of the world. And I mean, when I was 17 thinking I was pregnant, thinking, oh my God, no, disaster. Oh my God, my dad will be so upset, devastated. When I wasn't, I went, oh, thank you, God. Oh, yes, joy. But you see, the mind listens to everything you say. The mind is always switched on, and it records everything, and it never forgets. So in a moment of absolute terror or fear or pain or anxiety, there's something called an imprint. It goes in. So a child whose mother says, that cat will scratch you and give you blood poisoning, or that dog's going to bite you, or that's a dangerous person, or, you know, I worked with a little kid who had a terrible fear of monsters under the bed. Turned out his dad used to always say, you'll get run over if you do that, you'll kill yourself if you do that, you'll drown if you do that. Turned out his dad was the monster because he was scaring him all the time. So you get a young person, can be an adult, and you get an imprint. And what we do is investigate where did this imprint happen? And when we've got the imprint, which is very easy, you can ask questions and get the imprint. You can listen to the client's story. The one who said, my mum used to cry when I brought up food and was so happy when I ate. Or you can use hypnosis and go back like that. And the reason I love hypnosis so much is you go to the imprint. You know, people come to see me, within 5 minutes they have the imprint. There's no, oh, how does that make you feel? And how do you feel now? And let's talk more about that. And come back next Wednesday at 4 and we'll keep this going, because studies now say that's actually the worst thing you can do, because you just keep the story alive. So we do the investigating, we find the imprint, and then we interpret it. What does that mean? Why do you think, you know, your dad telling all these stories would now leave you to have this monster under your bed? Why do you think at 15 being terrified of being pregnant could possibly mean that today you've got unexplained ability? And they work it out. They go, yeah, now you say that. If I look at those scenes and look at this scene, it all makes sense. And then you interrupt the belief massively. And then you install a brand new belief. You know, you're getting pregnant like a high school kid on their first date. You're super fertile. You've got crack grade A eggs. Your husband's got the SAS of sperm and it's going to collide. So you bring in the very powerful language, and you are going to make a grade A baby. Because of course people say, I want to be pregnant. I'm like, no, you don't. You want to make a baby that you carry to full term. I have clients who have been pregnant 8 times. Want a perfect, bouncing, healthy baby. So it's another example of not telling your mind what you want. So the combination of the imprint, the investigate, the interpret, the interrupt, and the install is so powerfully transformational. We tell ourselves the story, we play the only part we've ever known, and then that part becomes our own, and we don't know how to separate it. And so people come in with their story and they go, well, you know, I was a newborn baby and my mum told me that I was only like 2 pounds. I nearly died. They had to drop milk in me with a dropper. And I remember my mum telling me she used to cry every time I got weighed, or if she fed me when I threw up, they would get so upset because I could die. Like, okay, and now you're 600 pounds because you keep telling yourself that story. And people tell themselves the story until it validates why, you know, my dad didn't love me. He left before I was born. He never came to see me. But he had another kid that he treated like Jesus, bought him everything, Game Boys, clothes. So if my dad didn't love me, I'm not lovable. And you have to go, but that was then. Your dad was an idiot. That has nothing to do with whether you can find love or not. But clients tell themselves this story, and they don't understand that at any age you can go, well, I think it's time for a new story. And so my job is to first of all find out where, you know, they come in and go, I don't know why I do this. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm just messed up. I don't know why I can't speak. I've always been that way. I go, nope. No baby looks away when you look at them in the hospital. No baby goes, don't look at me. I'm having a bad hair day. We're all born with so much confidence. You have 4 children. They never go, no, I can't get a banana in my mouth. I can't get to grips with this walking, reaching. They're wired to go for something. But a lot of damage is done very early, and I see that all the time.
really silly things like people come in and go, you know, I can't ask for money. And then our TT has what I call interruptions, where after they've gone back, they have to then say, but that's not me because, and that can't be me because, and that won't be me ever again. And what that does is it starts to change the neurons. It's actually called neuroplasticity. It starts to change the way the brain is wired. They stop thinking the way they thought as a child and put into place different beliefs, and then they're forever changed. And it's amazing to see it in action.
You do know, don't you, that people who are critical have so much criticism reserved for themselves. They actively dislike themselves, and you're actually showing me and the entire office that you really don't like yourself.
By critiquing me.
Yeah, by critiquing, you're just showing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, critical people always have criticism reserved for themselves. They are full of self-criticism, but they reflect it out. And superior people and happy people always praise, and people who feel inadequate always criticize, because criticize withers you and praise builds you up. And if you can use those 5 techniques, thanks for sharing, could you repeat that? Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Won't work, I'm not letting it in. Since we're sharing, did you know what is running your critical behavior? You don't let it in, and being able to not let in criticism, that too will change your life. It makes you bulletproof. You can't stop people being mean and having a horrible day, and we now have trolling, which is becoming an epidemic, so it's actually worse. Our kids used to get bullied at school and go home to a sanctuary.
Now they're bullied online.
Now they're bullied online, on the phone, and it never ends, and they feel really attacked. And see, when you find trolls, they're usually really miserable and unhappy, but they love the power because they have no power. They live on their own or with their mum. They have no life. I mean, we had a terrible situation in England where somebody was trolling this person whose child had been kidnapped, and when they exposed her, she killed herself. Oh, man. Which was a terrible thing for her, but obviously her sense of shame that she was outed and to kill herself, but she must have felt terrible. I felt so sorry for her. But she was very vicious in her trolling, but that's a really unhappy person. She needed a lot of help. But when you can teach people to come back from criticism without fighting or going, well, I hate you too, or you're horrible, shut up, or crying, when you can just teach them, look, I'm not letting it. It's like if I try to give you a gift, you go, no, I don't need that gift. I'm holding the gift. I can't give you something if you don't take it. Right. I can't serve papers on you unless you accept them. I can't serve a volley to you unless you volley it back. So when you learn that people can try and give you anything, but if you don't accept it, you haven't let it in. And if you don't let it in, it can't hurt you. It just hurts the person who's left holding it.
How do you help people establish meaning behind?
Well, I wrote a book called I'm Enough, and we have a program called I'm Enough, and what that does is it takes you the process of where does this come from? You're not born with this belief. How did you get it? And when they discover how they got it, they're able to give it up. One of my first ever clients was this beautiful woman, very hard to believe, and she said, I can never make a relationship last. And it sounds so silly, but she said that her dad used to say to her every day, you'll never ever find anyone that loves you like me. Nobody could love you like me. You'll never find the kind of love that I have. And he programmed, when you label someone, you limit them. So now she's got an imprint. I'm never going to find love like this love. And guess what she never found? Love like that. And all you have to do as a parent is to say, I love you because you're lovable. And all your life you'll find love like this love because you're worth it. So it's little tiny adjustments that have the most profound effect on people. And it's never too late to say, I'm enough, I can find love. And now if you give someone the power to make you feel good, you give them the power to make you feel bad. And if you do it to yourself, you feel so much better. It makes you slightly bulletproof. You still need other people, we all need other people. But the dialoguing with yourself and starting with I'm enough, I picked that because I found all my clients addicts, bingers, bulimics, saboteurs, hoarders, compulsive shoplifters. They all went back to the same thing. I'm not enough. I need more. And if you feel enough, you start to feel equal. See, most of us feel unequal. You're better than me because you got money, or you're more attractive than me. But no dog or cat says, oh, you're better than me because you're a pedigree. A baby doesn't know that another baby's wearing designer clothes and they're not. They have no concept of that. So really what I'm Enough is doing is reactivating, remanifesting and regenerating what you were born with, an ability to say, I'm enough.
What do you think is your greatest challenge that you face internally, personal challenge, as someone who's helped tens of thousands of people personally?
My greatest
and understand
challenge.
all this stuff.
Yeah, I suppose it's not a challenge to get more people to understand it, because people need it. You know, we all need to be nourished. You know, we need nourishment. Our soul needs to be nourished. It's not about organic avocados from Erewhon Market. That's great, but we all need this emotional nourishment. So, is it a challenge getting more people to accept it? I don't think it is, because everyone I see go, oh my God, I love that. And some people go, you know, I listened to you, thought, oh, that's rubbish. But then I found myself going into the garage and saying nice stuff to myself. So maybe my only challenge, but even then it's not a challenge, is I would say half the medical profession love what I do and really go for it and go, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm using it with my own patients. And the other half go, this is all silly. You know, illness is caused by disease, that you can't talk yourself better. Talking to yourself doesn't make any difference. You can't possibly give birth just using positive affirmations. It's like if you had cancer and you had a very good oncologist who might go, look, you know, the way you think, the way you eat, the way you act, the way you rest can all affect. And they'll go, nope, you got cancer, chemotherapy, there's nothing else that will work. And all that stuff is hocus pocus. Right. So that is a challenge, but it's not so much, because I find so many doctors love what I do and go, wow, you know, all these illnesses are autoimmune illnesses. Many years ago, there was a wonderful psychiatrist in London called Dr. Maudsley, and he had a great expression, it's always been my favorite, and it says, the feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. So he knew 100 years ago.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful and so true.
The feeling that
cannot find its expression in tears will cause other organs to weep. So he's sort of saying, if you don't feel the feeling, your body's going to feel it. If you don't open your mouth and say, you hurt me, don't be surprised if you get a screaming. I've got this screaming headache. I've got this angry red rash. I've got this thumping pain. And by the words they're using, angry, screaming, they're saying, I have rage that can't come out.
I'm not expressing it, but it's expressed through my body.
Yeah, because the body is very clever at finding something. I worked with someone who couldn't walk, and all she was, I can't stand that. I can't stand my ex, I can't stand my life, I can't stand my kids, and you can't stand up. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow.
She had sort of phantom leg pains because she couldn't stand anything. Bulimics also, well, what makes me sick is my sister-in-law. Oh, I'm so sick of her. She just makes me sick. I vomit in my mouth every time I hear her voice, and then they wonder why they're bulimic.
Right.
Because our words really affect our reality, partly because, and it's such an easy thing to say, every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche are working to make your reality. So we make our thoughts, and our thoughts make us, then we go out into the world and we justify our thoughts every day. But our words are a blueprint, and when you know that, you think, well, I better pay attention to that blueprint. I better not say this kid is killing me. My job is making me want to die. I'm so stressed out by what? The queue in Hughes Market. Well, go to Zimbabwe where there is no Hughes Market, and there is no queue, and there's no money to buy food anyway. Then you can say you're stressed, because your problem, the queue in Erewhon and the bill, is someone else's fantasy dream come true. This freeway is killing you. You have a car. You have look at people on 4 buses. I used to take my daughter to school, and I remember one day thinking that, oh my God, this commute is hell. And I saw someone at a bus and thought, how lucky I'm in my car. I've got the heating. I've got a cup of tea. I've got an hour to listen to something. I can talk to my kid. I keep saying I want an hour to myself. Well, here it is. And I learned to stop doing that. But when you say, how are you? Oh, nightmare. It is torture. What? The traffic. Yeah, the traffic, the queue. People keep ringing me, the phone ringing. It's torture. Well, maybe if it didn't ring, that might be worse.
Worse.
Some of my clients or models will say my life is because people look at me. It's like, really? Well, one day they won't, and then you might miss it. Yeah, but I get on a plane and guys hit on me, it's a nightmare. Well, put on a baseball hat and glasses, read a
hoodie
book.
over yourself,
Then
yeah.
they'll leave you alone. But that's not a nightmare, it's just mildly inconvenient. It's not.
Right.
It's not killing you, but we use these incredible words. This is torture, this is killing me, this is a disaster.
If you want another amazing Marisa Peer video, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
We tell ourselves the story, we play the only part we've ever known, and then that part becomes our own, and we don't know how to separate it.
You need to have a belief supplement. You need a daily belief supplement.